Hello, guys. Welcome back to Lunatic Astrology. I'm your astrologer, Lori Lothian. Today, I want to talk to you about Mars's last quarter square to Uranus in the sky. This is something that started for all of us in January of 2021 when Mars was conjunct the planet Uranus. And so I'm going to talk about it for your sign and for the collective. I also want to point out that there's an asteroid called Hekate, which is one of the crone wisdom goddess energies conjunct Uranus, but she's also an asteroid that has to do with passages and portals and thresholds. And when you add that portal passage threshold dynamic to Uranus, for each of us in our life, we're going to come to a crossroads threshold portal moment that's going to be exciting, dramatic, exhilarating, even shocking sometimes with Uranus. And Mars, of course, is also involved in this narrative as he's in Aquarius right now, traveling with Venus. So I'm going to tie this into your natal sky based on your rising sign, and that's going to be the most accurate, but please pay attention as well to your sun and moon. You can get more details by fleshing it out with all three. And I'm going to call this something like dramatic portal to change. Okay, that's my vibe for this aspect pattern. Now, before I do that, before I go ahead and talk about the collective and the all signs, I want you to consider liking, subscribing, and commenting on my video. And please check out my Patreon community where I have 2 to 3 times a month, private meetings with me, including some private readings. We do one Q&A where I look at your chart and take questions. And so, just check it out down below. $5 a month is my cheapest entry point. And it's a fun community and we're very intimate. A lot of us have been there together for a while. Lastly, that newsletter I have called Cosmic Moonshine, a swig of astrology news weekly, coming out every Sunday in your inbox. It's forecast material written by me for the week ahead in kind of bullet forms. And people really enjoy that. If you really like, some people they like the written word, you might want to subscribe. And if you do, you get a 30% discount one-time use code for a reading with me. As soon as you sign up, it's right in your inbox, along with a bunch of free gifts from me as well. So check it out. Okay, so let's get rolling on this guy story. Now, first of all, you have to have the big picture before we get to the micronutia. This is something like, it's a synodic cycle of Mars, a planet that takes 2 years to travel through the 12 signs of the zodiac, as he meets with Saturn, who takes 30 years on average to travel around the zodiac. And when these two cross paths, directly called a conjunction, that begins the synodic cycle. The conjunction of Mars and the conjunction of Uranus is like a new moon. It's a new beginning. It's a synodic rebirth for these two planets. So you have to consider then the past in order to look at the present. Otherwise, it makes absolutely no sense, right? You must blend the two together. So I jotted down the past time so you can think about this in your own sky. All right. I want you to be pondering. Mars was conjuncting Saturn back in January, around the 3rd week of January at 6 degrees of Taurus. And then this happened to spin out a first quarter square for Mars, meaning he's leaving the meeting with Saturn. He's starting to travel away, just like a first quarter half moon. And he's looking back over his shoulder as he leaves that conjunction. And it's called a first quarter square. And it happened around 14 degrees of Taurus, not Taurus. Sorry about that. Uranus is at 14 degrees of Taurus, right? But Mars is not in Taurus, obviously, because he's been moving around the zodiac. He's gone past the first place he started. Instead, Mars is in fiery Leo. And you might remember how it felt in July. This would have been like the first week of July, 2021. A lot of places in the world were burning up. There are huge fires and soaring heat waves. And of course, Mars is hot anyway. And you put him in Leo and he's hotter. And then Uranus and Taurus is extreme weather. So we had a lot of extreme weather with that one. And then the next time they came together in a connection that's significant would have been around November 17th, around that time, and that was an opposition. So now Mars is directly opposite in the sign of Scorpio, looking over at Uranus. And you may remember this was a delta wave that was picking up in the fall of the variant. That's one of the things that was kind of peaking out around that time. Mars rules inflammation and plagues in the ancient world, plagues especially. And anyway, and then also Omicron was coming to light, and that was Uranus opposite Mars. And Omicron was first coming to the news stories in the month of November, and something jarring, unexpected to do with plagues. Okay, so we have all of that. And then this is now the last quarter square. So we're coming into this long winding ending of a longer process. So in essence, Now that Mars is in Aquarius and looking over at this Uranus and Taurus, this part of our sky is active in a longer story that we're seeing in each of our lives and for the world. Now, since Mars is a plague god, and I already predicted that his heliacal rise in Scorpio, I predicted this in October, November, and December, would be the end of the pandemic as we become endemic with Omicron, because he started the plague when he went into the heart of the sun in Virgo in 2019 in the fall. That I still think the plague story is still a Martian story. So having him rounding out here in this last quarter square to Uranus, from Aquarius, which is air, which is we the people, which is, Mars and Aquarius can be very much about revolts, rebellions, and protests, but also just change. So let's just see what happens. But I would expect something around this time to maybe reflect a closure or some kind of new direction around the pandemic storyline as one possibility. Also, he's a god of war, and there's a war in the Ukraine, and this could be a breakthrough. I mean, Mars square Uranus is tension, but it can also be breakthrough energy. So there could be a breakthrough energy going on regarding the situation in the Ukraine. Let's hope so. Okay, so now, first of all, now that you got the whole big picture, let's talk about this asteroid Hekate before I do the all signs. The all signs part of the story is going to be just focusing on this portal threshold to change that Mars is trying to press or push through. And I'm going to go through this quickly, everyone, just so you know, this is a short video. But before we get to that, let's talk about the Hekate myth or whatever, the story of that. There's a woman called Dark Star Astrology. Her name is Marina. I always liked her material and enjoy her quite a lot. And so I'm going to read to you something she says on her website about this particular formation, about Hekate, and I'm going to say, let's apply it to what's happening in our sky. All right, so she suggests that Hekate might come from the Egyptian word magical speech, Heka, which is interesting, right? And I just think that's a fascinating detail. But she also, I just kind of want to read what she says. I like it, Okay, where did I just see there? Yeah. A modern day Hekate rules crossroads, torchlight, portals, passages, the night, the use of herbs and poisonous plants, necromancy, and divination. Okay, well, I don't think any of us are using necromancy. I'm a little bit worried about the use of poisonous plants with Uranus, because as you well know, the situation in Ukraine is a little dicey, right? There's biolabs, and will Putin get his hand on it? And then will Putin even be poisoned, because he's afraid of being poisoned. And if you look at any of my stories that I've been telling about him, he's good reason to. He has Mars near the scorpion stinger in the house of foods he eats when he was born, and the star Shala, which is associated with all of that, including poisoning. So yeah, so we could see poisonous things and poisoning things going on in the world. Hopefully not an oil spill or a toxic spill of some kind as well. But just be clear that that theme is there with Hekate. But in your own life, right? In your own, well, and then, some people think, okay, not saying I think this, that the vaccine, some of the vaccines may indeed be unhealthy for us. And so if there's sudden revelations about some information about the vaccines, that could be part of the Hekate portal threshold revelation stuff going on, all right, in this last square of Mars. Now, please do not comment and say I'm a conspiracy theorist or I'm anti-vaccination. I'm not. I'm just talking about what the sky might be saying. Okay. All right. So let's say that there is this threshold or portal. What will it mean for you based on your rising sign? And then, of course, your sun and moon. Technically, your rising sign is going to produce the most accurate description of what's happening, but you can use your sun, especially around career, or if you're born in the day, and your night. If you're a night baby like me, then the moon can often be extremely accurate. In Vedic astrology, they always want you to look at your moon and your rising sign. So consider all of the sun, moon, and rising useful. The moon can be more about your emotional temperament, about how you feel about what's going on in your life. Okay. Sorry, guys, I'm shaking my desk. Okay, so let's get started. Let's talk about all signs. This is going to be pithy. This is going to be fast. Did I forget anything? I did. I don't like Mars square Uranus for explosions. Okay. So there's no doubt about it. And if you're wondering about this background, this is Vancouver, Canada, where I live. And I took this unfiltered photo a few years ago on the beach. And I am like just needing to see water and land. And I just felt like needing this energy, not astrology behind me. But anyway, explosions, sudden explosions can happen with Mars and Uranus. And now that worries me, of course. There are nuclear reactors in the Ukraine, and everyone's worried about a nuclear detonation as well. So there's that part of the story as well. Now let's go to happier tales, because your life does not include personally, for instance, poison or nuclear explosion, unless of course I see that in your chart. I'll let you know. And I hope for frigging sakes, if this video is still choppy after resetting all of my modems and my computer and everything else, I think I need to buy a new computer. So if I'm like moving in slow-mo and I'm really choppy for you, I'm so sorry about that. Okay, let's roll. Could just be my computer's getting too old. Let's talk about the signs, and we're going to start with Aries. It's just, why not be traditional? I always find that it's the best to do it that way, because when people are on my channel and I'm doing the live premiere and they come in and I'm starting with Pisces, they think I'm finishing up. All righty. Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. Now, guys, for you guys, energy wise, this Taurus transit through your second house since 2019, Taurus transit, this Uranus transit through your Taurus second house since 2019 has been really opening up new ways to make money. And it's a bit of a rags to riches and riches to rags story. So it depends on where you've been in your life. For me, this ingress in 2018, May to October, was really, interesting, because I suddenly developed new ways of making money on the internet. And, that's exciting for me. That happened during that ingress. And so now, since 2019, Uranus, the god of the internet and cutting edge technology in the house of earnings, has been doing stuff for us Aries around changing our way of making money, and maybe giving us big jolts and chunks of sudden money. So with this energy here and Hekate, a threshold, a portal, a gateway, a passageway, a crossroads energy on that Uranus, getting a last quarter square from Mars in your 11th house of hopes, dreams, wishes, aspirations, long-term goals and plans, pennies from heaven. I'm not going to kid you guys. Some of you can have a windfall. I mean, Venus is sitting there right beside Mars, conjunct him, and she's also square Uranus, and that happened the week before, but nonetheless, or just a few days before, there's this energy for a lot of Aries that they're going to see a sudden chunk come of money, like incoming inbound windfall vibe. Okay. That aside, your 11th house is where your friends and allies want to support you. It's where you can get favors from friends or collaborate with groups of people, as well as have some great financial gain directly from your career path. So promotions and stuff like that. But, there's a crossroads in the income house here. Now, I'll give you an example, because I have my sun and moon in Aries. I just want to use me as an example, because I know me well. There's a new plan I have, a new direction I want to go with my astrology business. And I'm sitting on the fence, right? I'm at a crossroads around that. I'm expecting that decision will become clear as Mars, the god of action and directions, and Uranus square with Hekate, the thresholds and passageways god. And there's a sudden dynamic yes or no about that new direction. Okay. So Mars is a god of decisions as much as actions. And so even though there's a lot of pressure here and it feels sticky because Mars has got his foot on the gas and maybe Saturn would like to keep the parking brake going, it really is potentially a breakthrough of direction around career, money, gains from your career, deeper hopes and dreams and aspirations, and your income and your resources. Okay. I hope that helps you guys, Aries folk. Go back to January, of course, the beginning of the synodic cycle, 2021. What were you initiating in your life at that time around earnings and career and money and friends and dreams and wishes? Because now it is coming to this closing cycle completion. Taurus, sun, moon, rising sign. You guys are having the energy in the house of you, right? Obviously, Uranus is in the house of your body. It's your first house if this is a rising sign for you. And you're definitely feeling then, Taurus, this this really intense quality in your sense of who you are in the world, being transformed in earnest since 2019, with a little bit in 2018. And this is an ongoing kind of self-revolution where you could break the rules, you know, that you think that you're always stuck with, especially family rules. And a lot of you Tauruses are just trying to bust out, right? Bust out, be free, find yourself, be original, be independent. That's your goal, you know, until 2026. Uranus is supporting that for you. A lot of energy going through your body, a lot of kundalini, a lot of shakti, a lot of prana. Your nervous system might be really jarred if this is your rising sign. You want to take magnesium. You want to get lots of sleep during this time that you're going through, depending on where your rising sign is. Now, Taurus, if your rising sign is between about 6 degrees and let's say 15 degrees of Taurus, with this energy, because Uranus is at 12, you're really feeling it. You're really getting and energized. And now this last quarter square, remember this started in January, the conjunction started this cycle in January of 21. This last quarter square of Mars from your career house, your reputation, your ambitions for success in the world is what this is all about. So you have an Aquarius, Mars, Venus actually conjunction up in your 10th house. If you're a student, for instance, like my daughter is a Taurus sun, this is a lot about whatever you're trying to achieve in the endeavor of the profession of being a student. But if you're working, for instance, you know, or you have a career ambition or goal, this is very much about a real threshold or crossroads time around, does your identity fit with your goal? And is your freedom loving, inventive, and original self that's being formed with this transit of Uranus to your house of you, is it matching up properly with whatever your career goals are? Are you working in a place that you hate? Does your boss suck? Are you unhappy there? Because Saturn is going through there and it can make you feel really gritty about authority figures in your workplace. So you might have a breakthrough turning point with this crossroads energy, sudden flashpoint too, because it's Uranus. So an example would be a big argument with someone in your workplace, your boss or a colleague, and boom, you're out of there. Like you're gone. You're faster than a speeding bullet leaving that work, job, career direction. Okay. For example, but certainly Mars up there can bring some kind of discord or conflict in the work and career direction environment. And it's going to have some dramatic impacts on you as you step across some new threshold of identity and find out who you are and what you really desire in your work career path. So keep that in mind. And there you go, Taurus. Gemini, sun, moon, rising sign. So Gemini folk, you're going to have an experience here of having you've been having a Uranian experience in the house of your dreams at night and your inner life and your self-sabotaging patterns and addictions, your 12th house. So for some of you, you're having extremely exciting redirections around those self-sabotages. Like Uranus can give you big ahas, bolts of insight, pineal gland downloads, and you're just done, or miracle healings of addictions or bad habits. Yay, you. That's been happening for a while now, 3 years. But now this last quarter square energy, go back to 2021 January, when the conjunction happened in Taurus and in your 12th house. What was beginning there? And it could do with foreign lands as well, or revenue from foreign shores. That's another meaning of the 12th. But in essence, it's also very spiritual and soul worky, this house, and very supernatural. I mean, shamans, guides, Reiki healers, hypnosis, stuff like that. So think about it that way. What was happening in 21? Now this is a waning last quarter square. Things are completing for you. So Mars is sitting up there in your 9th house of foreign shores, foreign lands, truth, God, wisdom, religion, book publishing, visas, court cases, your dharma, your purpose and meaning in life. So a lot of things could be changing. Mars is a god of change in your 9th house, squaring the portal of thresholds of new beginnings in your 12th. So if you wanted to move to a foreign land, if you want to change your home or travel to a foreign land, or something to do with foreign shores has been on your agenda radar, this is breakthrough energy, but it does have grit, right? Because it's a square, and you might have push pull and stop go and feel frustrated as well. But there's something good trying to happen here. This is a new portal or threshold. Same with legal cases. I mean, certainly Mars up here is like a trial lawyer going to town, right? Or whatever, advocating for your behalf in a court setting. And Venus is beside him, and there's a bit of a bonification there, but she's besieged because she's wedged between Saturn and Mars, but she's still a benefic. So you could win, but wait till the end of, she'll be out of besiegement by the end of March. And, you could end up winning in a court or legal situation or a visa situation that you've been trying to get going. If you're trying to publish a book, Gemini, a lot of you guys publish books because you're so mercurial. This could be a breakthrough where you finally get the publisher or the agent that you really want. But again, portal, threshold, crossroads, right? So pay attention to in what way Hekate is asking you to look at this as a real turning point, and make sure at a crossroads you take the right road. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising sign. So you guys are experiencing the energy of this Uranus transit since 2019 in earnest in your 11th house. And Uranus is the god of change, of course, and sudden change and exciting change and many other things too, illumination, insight, and aha. And he's in the 11th house of your deepest dreams and wishes and hopes and goals for your life. So there's been a lot of change in that area. Secondly, it is a pennies from heaven windfall vibe, and you may experience some sudden upticks in your money during this transit till 2026, kind of out of the blue, especially from the area of the sky that represents inheritances, bank loans, and spousal money. And right now that Mars is in a square to Uranus from an 8th money house to an 11th money house. There's a very strong possibility of a sudden portal or threshold to some financial potential turning point, but it's gritty. It's a threshold or a crossroads as well. And Mars is sitting there with Venus in your money house, but she's besieged. So you might feel like underwater a bit financially, or really confused about investments or things to do with your spouse's money until the end of the month, when she gets, after the 28th of March, out of that besiegement. But nonetheless, this gritty square that's happening in the sky, I don't even know if I told you guys the dates, anyway, around the 12th and 13th of March, is truly going to open up some kind of turning point energy on your financial story. Okay. And think about also, you want to get a mortgage, a bank loan, you want to eliminate credit card debt, your tax rebate comes in. It could be stuff like that as well, or doing your taxes. It is tax season, and having a revelation turning point about, oh my God, if I just incorporated, I would have saved so much money. Let me do it this year, or things like that. Anything else, Gemini? It is an inheritance house, the 8th house. Mars can cut people away from your life. Saturn is there as well. So it's possible that somebody may be bequeathing you some money, and a sudden turning point happens because of that in this story for you Cancers. And remember, go back to 2021 in terms of seeing the longer arc of the story. As I said in the very beginning, this is completing what might have been begun in January of 2021 around money and dreams and hopes and wishes and windfalls and breakthroughs, etc. Leo, sun, moon, rising sign. So Leo. This is that long Uranus transit through your 10th house. I don't know how many of you guys are feeling stable in career work, but I don't think you are. Back in 2019, Uranus made his full-time entrance into your 10th house, whole sign 10th house. So this could feel like a lot about your work environment keeps changing and you're uncertain, or there's a lot of dramatic shifts in jobs and work and career ambition. And that's okay, because Uranus, by the time he finishes here in 26, will have put you into a place of greater alignment with what you really, really want in work and career and success in life. So this transit is going to be activated by Mars in your 7th house of legal agreements and contracts, business partnerships, and spouse. Okay. So in a lot of ways, or sometimes if you have to share something with the marketplace, audience, and other, this 10th from your 10th house, this can often lead to a house where it's your marketplace. It's where you sell things. It's your fan base, that kind of thing. Now, with Mars here squaring Uranus at the threshold Hekate portal crossroads, you may be coming into a real turning point in your career path or your workplace. And it may have a lot to do with some kind of decisions or actions your spouse or business partner are taking, because it's not the house of you, the 7th house. Or it could have to do with some kind of contract or legal agreement with Mars there that you have to fight to get the darn thing signed, or you have to negotiate back and forth in a bit of a battle. Venus is here, the goddess of negotiation, besieged between Mars and Saturn. So don't expect negotiations to work out perfectly until the end of till the 28th onward of March. But the idea here is you might be having that experience as well as some gnarly difficulties with your spouse or business partner, and there being a conflict and they're pressing against something, they're pushing you in some way, and it may have to do with career. An example might be like you want to take that job and your husband says don't, or wife says don't do it, it's way too far, it's going to be too much travel for you, and I don't want you away from home that much, and you're going to battle it out. But because Hekate, the crossroads threshold goddess, is involved, your decision does matter. It could be one of those bifurcations of your identity, so go back to January of 21. What kind of potential energies were going on around crossroads career decisions that may now also be showing up in the sky? Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign especially, you've got this energy here of, the Uranus transit changing, renovating and exhilarating shifts in your ninth house. Your ninth house of your higher education, campuses and colleges, book publishing, religious and spiritual traditions and churches. Certainly with this transit, if you were ever in a traditional religion, and you're bailing, man, like a lot of you Virgos are like, since 2018, really in May, just ditching the traditional religion and finding something free and original and doing it your own way. Same thing with education. So my daughter is a Virgo rising, and she ditched, the McGill University, and she's now in a different school, and she moved. Like Uranus brings instability, and she changed her major. Uranus can bring instability around those things, but it's change that you need because it's bringing you more in alignment with the big God of change, with what's more true to who you are. So this change has purpose. So that is a story that's been going on. But now we've got this Mars last quarter square. You want to go back to January 21. Like I said, what changes were happening in education, foreign lands and travel, book publishing, and spiritual beliefs? What was happening back in January of 21 is now coming to its completion with this last quarter square. Really think about how you might be unfolding or letting an unfoldment happen here. Because the square from Mars is happening from your sixth house, which is your work. It's like your work and health routines, the way you structure your thing, your office and collegiate space, your colleagues, your coworkers, or your employees. It's the things you do proactively for better health. A house of sickness is the meaning of the sixth. Now, Mars is in his joy in the sixth house. So there's a mitigating yay for you. In a Hellenistic astrology, he's strongly placed in the sixth house. So he's actually going to help you get better health, by the way, and mostly through activities or actions you take, actions, decisions, and activities. But also, he's sitting with Venus. There's a sweetness there, bonification kind of happening, and how to be more in a place of joy and alignment and pleasure with things you do and decisions you make regarding your health, as well as actions you take and decisions regarding the work you do in the world. And in relationship to campuses, schools, and foreign lands. It sounds like a strange mix up, but think about it, really. My daughter might be looking at her work life versus her school life and trying to figure out some new balance. For example, she works in a gym and she goes to school at a college university. But there's great tension, right? Because it's a square and it's a bit of frustration and a feeling of being stuck. I would say definitely as Venus gets out of besiegement at the end of March, that stuck feeling will end. Okay. And you'll start to have breakthroughs around health and work routines and moving forward regarding things to do with education, school, higher education, school, learning, and your father. I want to say that this is in Vedic astrology, the ninth house is the house of the father. So you can have some breakthroughs regarding your relationship to your father, because the sixth house is also a very karmic axis of the chart. So just a possibility. Okay. So we're going to keep moving. Oh, wow. There's like birds right out on my deck. So that if you can hear them, those are seagulls. Like they're having a seagull fight. Okay. Like whatever seagulls fight about or something. Wow. Oh my God, guys, they're just swooping in front of my window. It's so cool. So cool. I think it's a fight. Seagull fight, probably over a piece of fish or something, or a French fry. All righty. Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. So, you're getting a lot of that Uranus change energy for the last 2 or 3 years since 2019. It's ongoing, not done till 2026 in your financial house of, savings and bank loans and mortgages. Your eighth house is also where your spouse's money and business partner monies come from, inheritances as well. So you're going to have sudden ups and downs and changes. And it's not going to be stable with Uranus there, right? There's ups and downs, highs and lows in the money story here. It's also, as well, Uranus can spill secrets, family secrets in particular, that come blowing out of the water while he's traveling through that eighth house. Now, And that longer theme is being activated by that waning Mars square. So go back to 2021 and think about money stories and secret stories and family secret stories. And now think about this last gritty, desire for change. It may feel frustration intense, but it's going to work. There's Hekate, the threshold. Mars is coming from that 5th house. Now, 5th house is your joy, fun, play, and pleasure. Are you actually having any? I don't think so. Why? Because Saturn for the last year has been in your playhouse, and it makes everything hard, including hard work to play. It's like not the easiest spot. Or if you're a Libra rising sun or moon, especially rising, you want to have a child, Saturn has been putting a dampener, or your children feel like obligations and duties. But certainly is like your fun, play, sexuality, romance, pleasure has had a bit of a pall or an energy of heaviness to it. And now Mars is here with Venus, and they are kind of hanging out together. And, Mars will take action or try to get new action going for you. Excuse me. Hang on. New action plans here, new directions. And, Mars in the 5th is athletic. So new forms of physical movement, even to ramp up your joy and pleasure and sexuality and play and relationship to your kids. Now, Mars can move a kid out of your life, even here, like, move a kid away or something like that, which you might need to empty that nest or something. Now, if you're looking for romance, Mars is often the lover energy. And so he is here, but with that besieged Venus, the goddess of love and romance, besieged until the 28th of March, you probably won't find significant romantic stories emerging until after that. But I would say to you this, because the 5th house can be risky money, like, placing a bet, winning a lottery ticket, going to the casino, speculating, and luck around money from risk taking and gaming, that you may have some kind of lucky break around finances by taking a risk, but be careful. With Venus besieged here, I wouldn't take a risk until after the 28th or so of the month, okay? But it could be building up some story. Go back around money and risk and play and fun and pleasure and all those stories in January of 2021, especially around just your savings, your 401k, your stock investments, your crypto, what was happening in January 21 and what could be happening now, and how will those two things connect in the last quarter square, finishing that narrative. And it's a threshold, it's a change, and it's a crossroads around you and your money. All righty. We're moving on to Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising. And Scorpios, the energy here of Uranus since 2019 in your marriage house has been difficult. If you've been in a relationship, and if I go back to 2018, May to October, when Uranus tiptoed into that part of your sky, I know a lot of Scorpio risings who had very difficult, almost breakup energy in their significant relationships, okay? Or got involved in really erratic and unstable relationships, okay? So think about it that way. Now, this Uranus transit through your 7th house of significant love relationships and business partnerships really does continue until 2026, but you've been getting good doses of it and you're learning from it, right? The big meaning of Uranus here is freedom in relationship, giving each other freedom, not holding each other like interdependence, not codependence or hyper independence. Learning to be free. A lot of people went into open marriages, polyamory when this transit happened, if you were Scorpio rising. So think about that. Now, this energy is still there, especially, and by the way, if you're a Scorpio who puts things like into the world, like YouTube videos, or sells things to a marketplace, this is also using the internet to succeed in that area. Now, with this square from Mars, which is a last quarter square of something that began back in January of 2021, this is finishing up a longer narrative, and it has to do with that 7th house. If you're a single Scorpio and looking for love and you haven't found it yet, it's possible that Mars in the 4th house in your sky, squaring Uranus with Venus there, will bring a new relationship into somebody from your family of origin, a hometown, home base kind of vibe, or someone in the same ethnic and ancestral lineage as you, or somebody just close to home. And with Venus there besieged until the 28th, I wouldn't expect it to be very obvious to you that there could be a new love story until at least the 28th of March onward, or there's a love story, but there's challenges in getting together. And if you're with somebody, this could be conflict and disagreements in the home and in a private life with the one you're with. And it's very dicey and edgy because Hekate on Uranus is like that threshold and crossroads energy. This could be a make or break time for some Scorpios around a significant love relationship or business partner, and either getting ready to cut ties or to hold in there one way or the other. It is a threshold and a crossroads energy. And, you know, Mars down here in your fourth house, it's like quabbling, squabbling, and difficulties and disagreements in your home life with someone living near or with you. It's not easy. And Venus can't bring the peace because she's besieged. So again, all of those things are in play now. But the bigger picture has to do with that relationship part of your sky, the one you're with for business or love, and or even the client you choose to serve. What crossroads thresholds is trying to change, Scorpios, for who you want to be in relationship to those others in your life. Sagittarius, sun, moon, rising sign. Now, Sagittarius, this is for you, a longer running story of that transiting Uranus, making changes in your work routines and health routines, especially, you know, sudden developments around, you know, almost miracle ways of healing your body, healing yourself, healing your soul, healing your psyche. And his sixth house journey is not finished till 2026. Now, if you had a normal like work life and you had a stable job, good luck. I'm either May to October of 18 or starting in March of 2019 onward. Some of you had some serious disruptions in your workplace. Okay. Like you may have quit your job or your job quit you or people quit around you and like, oh my God, it's chaotic. Or you did the internet thing because Uranus represents the internet technologies and you probably went remote. Now, a lot of people went remote because of COVID, but maybe you started before the rest of us in 2019. Now, the other interesting story is there's a crossroads energy at the work and health routines part of your sky, because Hekate is within 3 degrees of that Uranus. And back in 21, Mars did conjunct that Uranus. What is going on from January 21 that's finishing up a story now? And you're going to experience this square from Mars from your 3rd house of trips and travel, siblings, skills-based learning and education, and the online world, and platforms or social media and your website and stuff like that. Now, in the house of writing, if you're into writing. Now, if you think about it this way, it could be because Mars loves to travel. He's Mr. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles in your 3rd house of trips and travel. This is a thwarted frustration around a trip to do with work or purpose or health that you want to take because it's gritty and it's a square, but it might break out around the 28th of the month of March when Venus leaves her besiegement and she can bring you some pleasurable travel, an enjoyable trip, or more fun with a sibling, aunt, uncle, or cousin. So those are areas where Mars is trying to make some kind of point, right? Make a change, have some decisions made around that. And lastly, your 3rd house is your local neighborhood. And Sagittarius, if you don't like where you're living, like you might have a beautiful house, but in a ghetto area that you don't enjoy. I mean, I say ghetto, you know what I mean? But like, you know, you're talking crossfire of bullets when you leave your beautiful home, or, you know, something wrong with your neighborhood, like there's nothing around it that you enjoy. You may change your neighborhood because Mars could say, let's make a change here. Let's change our neighborhood. And Uranus can make it very sudden, but it could also be a change connected to bettering your health, you know, and getting away from living in the shadow of something that's not healthy for you. Alrighty. So just some thoughts. Anything else? That's about it. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. All right, Uranus has been tooling through a long journey in your 5th house of romantic love. I've said this many videos for you guys. Capricorns tend to like steady as she goes when it comes to love. Fixed sign Taurus in the house of romance. They're like reliable, predictable, comfortable, secure, and safe love stories. However, that got all destabilized for you, didn't it, back in 2019, especially even go back to 2018. May to October, then in earnest 2019 after March, all of a sudden you're like, yeah, polyamory, or like, yeah, like that's like totally my speed to go online dating and try a lot of different people, or suddenly you're like looking for new, inventive, free loving ways to love, you know. And you may also find that this is your house of joy and fun. And you're taking all these really outside the box ways of finding your pleasures, finding your joys, finding your sexuality, even going outside the bounds of things you've done before. Your relationship to your children is changing here as well. And maybe it's developing way more freedom and invention in the connection you have to your kids. And lastly, the 5th house is some money, luck. And if you're going to have a windfall come out of the blue, you definitely could use Uranus traveling through your 5th house of money, luck through speculation, you know, buy that lottery ticket. With Mars in your 2nd house of earnings and possessions and self-worth and self-value and all the basic needs you need to have, you know, food, shelter, and water, meeting your needs. Mars is pressing through here, squaring Uranus, and Uranus is at that crossroads, that threshold energy. Now, certainly Mars in the house of speech could be cross words, angry words, difficult words spoken to somebody you love or that you're with romantically, and they're coming from you, those words. Venus is besieged in the house of words and speech, so you may be having a hard time with your nonviolent communication right now. Wait till Venus gets out of that area on the 28th, because it'll lighten up for you and you'll be able to like have some more diplomatic and peace-loving conversations. But I also want to say, you know, Mars is also good at spending a shit ton of money when he travels through your second house, and you may be finding money is pouring out. Venus can't hold it in there because she's besieged and you're stressed about money. So go buy that lottery ticket, because Hekate, threshold, crossroads, portal to change, on Uranus in a money luck house, of all of the signs right now who could benefit from a one Powerball ticket or whatever you have in your country, do it. Now, don't take financial advice from an online astrologer. I'm not telling you to bet, you know, the house on a lottery ticket. I'm telling you to playfully engage the possibility for some unexpected money breakthroughs, you know, happening here. And if that relationship that causes the quarreling is not good for you, Uranus will close the door, right? Crossroads energy. So just trust the universe on this. If you're single and you want a relationship, you could possibly get one out of this, but not until Venus gets out of besiegement. So wait until the 28th of March to about April 5th, when she's still in your second house. And that could bring you an unexpected, exciting, and really exhilarating new kind of relationship. Okay, just keep that in mind, especially with Juno in your second house, you know, committed, a relationship that can become committed quite quickly. Here we go, Aquarius. That's me, sun, moon, and rising. I'm an Aquarius rising. If you are going to, okay, first of all, let's talk about Uranus, the nomad transit, right? Entered in 2018, May to October, then in 2019, March, in our fourth house of home. Yes, I have been moving all over the place. You will be finding that it's hard to stabilize yourself with this transit. It really depends on the degree of your rising sign, how much it influences you. So for instance, you know, 2018, 19, and 20, if your rising sign Aquarius is in the first 10 degrees, you got a lot of instability around where you live. And then similarly, then let's say now 22, 23, 24, if your rising sign is say 10 to 20 degrees, you're getting a lot of instability around where you live and onward. But nonetheless, with Uranus here, you can't guarantee that what you think is home sweet home is home sweet home. It's so simple. I thought I was staying in Montreal. Ha ha ha. No, I was there for a couple of years and I'm back in Vancouver, Canada. Now, look, I think that because Hekate, crossroads, thresholds, portals, energy in the house of homeland and real estate is sitting there during this last quarter square. Now think about what started in 2021 January, because did I say January? Yeah, January. I'm having like a mental, you know, closure in my brain. But anyway, yeah. Okay. Because this energy is your narrative right now. You're figuring something out. You're closing up a doorway somehow, and opening another door. So closing one door, opening another door. Okay. So I would say in some ways what you're dealing with is the opportunity for a dramatic and sudden and exhilarating change regarding your home and where you live. Now, it could be the house of the mother, so to change with your mother, or something going on in your family of origin as well. But for the most part, it's quite literally homeland and real estate and where you park your butt. And so especially if your IC is there in whole sign houses, the root of the sky. So I'm expecting a lot of you guys are going to find something coming out of this. At first, it feels frustrating. There's tension here. And you might want to move forward, but you feel stuck. Mars is squaring Uranus, and Mars is doing that square from where? The house of you, your identity. And you want to move forward. You want to take action. You want to bust out and find this new home thing going down. Venus, who would bring you a beautiful home, a lovely home, a pleasing, pleasurable home, is besieged until March 28th. Prescription, if you are like me in Aquarius rising, wait till the end of the month when she's out of besiegement. Don't take your first offer. But there is something that's trying to percolate here. And after the 28th of March, I will say a lot of Aquarius risings are expanding home, changing home, having changes in the home that are significant, that fortify your well-being, that are really good for you overall. Alrighty, be patient because you'll feel frustrated. Time, let it percolate. Wait till April and you'll see what I mean. Okay, excited for us. And last but not least, you Pisces folk, I could spell, I could speak. Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. Uranus has been going through your natal third house, right? Change in siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, local neighborhood, online learning and study, skills-based learning, short trips and travel. Now, Uranus is destabilizing and electrifying this. You could have a lot of erratic travel since 2018, 19 going on, erratic situations with your siblings or aunts, uncles, and cousins, exciting and dramatic changes of what you wish to learn in the world. And if you're internet based like me and your business and stuff, this is actually really a good transit for you. I mean, a lot of you Pisces can start to bust out and build a business on the internet. Now, this Hekate, portal to change, is active here in your sky, and it's asking for some kind of shift. It's a crossroads change regarding siblings, also neighborhood, where you live. Maybe you need to change the hood. And if this is happening and your IC is in the third house, especially as a change of home and a change of neighborhood. But interestingly, the way the sky looks, Mars is trying to open up. What the hell was that? I just heard 3 squeaks in my apartment. Oh my God, is my internet still going? Mars is trying to open up something regarding change from your 12th house, right? Mars is in the 12th house of your dreams at night, self-sabotage, self-undoing, hidden enemies and stuff like that. Number one, Mars is squaring your Uranus. So a hidden enemy or someone who doesn't have your back trying to screw you up regarding a trip, a travel, siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, neighborhoods, and online work. But if it's not a hidden enemy, you're your own worst enemy here. And Mars is trying to help you pare away, eliminate, and cut away addiction, self-defeating thoughts, behaviors, and patterns. All right. Be careful for injuries, of course, because Mars can create them. But if you get an injury during this transit, well, then you're probably going to use it to have a kind of a self-assessment or cleanse of some kind. You're probably fine because you can't touch your ascendant. So I'll take that back. Venus here is besieged until the 28th. And just put it this way, she's not doing much good for anyone. She's between a rock and a hard place. So after the 28th of March, she'll come at a besiegement. And I'm going to say there could be a really sweet and positive new development, either around money from foreign lands, foreign shores, PayPal, Stripe accounts, processors that allow you to get money from that area, but also regarding a sibling, particularly a sister, right? Because she's the cis energy and she's going to get out of her besiegement. So good news could come suddenly about a sibling, from a sibling, about a sibling, to a sibling, or you could maybe plan a trip, or a sibling will plan a trip to visit you. And all of a sudden this kind of opens up a window of some kind. If you really want to learn something, you've always been chomping at the bit, then you feel frustrated that you haven't had an opportunity to learn how to knit, learn how to paint, learn how to draw, learn how to write, whatever, especially writing. The third house is a writing house. This can be opening up huge turning point, crossroads energies, a great story idea, a writing class down the street, an online writing course that you get accepted into because you dared to apply. Your MFA application goes through, and yay you. So those are themes of breakthrough, right? But you go back to, January 21, what was happening in your life, because it may have some connection to what's trying to fulfill itself in the sky right now. Thank you everyone for listening. Please like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell for notifications. Don't forget to check my description box below for everything I've got going on, and sign up for my Cosmic Moonshine newsletter. Yay. I think you'll really like it. Ciao, ciao.